Rosie, here in Toronto, we do have some news that's gone on. I mean, I was kind of worried when I got asked by Amel if I wanted to do the show here today. I said, yes, I will do it, but what the hell am I going to talk about? And thankfully for us, Lane Lambert hired as the associate coach here in Toronto. The associate, not the assistant coach. And that would be Dean Chenoweth on his way out of Toronto, and still one assistant coach remaining, one that I think Leafs fans will be sitting wondering how the hell does this guy still have a job? And Guy Boucher, just considering what went on with the power play last year. As far as the changes that we see for this team, I mean, Lambert, he's 59 years old. He was fired by the Islanders in January. He spent 6 years with the Islanders, 4 as the assistant coach, 2 as the head coach. He's got 13 years of NHL coaching experience under his belt. Rosie, I kind of look at this. I don't think that this is something that puts the team over the top. I think you're very clearly building a certain style of coaching staff back there with Berube, with Lambert now coming in, just the way that these guys have conducted themselves. I like this hiring from the standpoint of, at the end of the day, this guy spent time under Barry Trotz's coaching staff. So I'm in support of it. I can't speak too much to Lane Lambert as a coach and the difference he's going to make here, but what are your initial thoughts on this hiring and what he does for the Leafs?
Yeah, it's not like it's a world breaking news or anything, but there is a guy, I don't know, is associate just below assistant? Is there a hierarchy there? This associate assistant, I've never really
Yeah, I
understood
don't.
it, to be honest with you. I don't know which one is which. I think assistant might be a little higher and associate not. I don't even know. But this guy I think is going to come in and run the special teams, definitely run the penalty kill. From what I gather, the way he runs the penalty kill is to be very aggressive. When you're killing the penalties, you sit in a box formation in front, whatever area or quadrant the puck goes to, that player flexes out to apply a bit of pressure and then sinks back when it goes out of his quadrant, and you kind of flex out like that. Under Lambert, I understand that if there's any kind of a 50 puck, any kind of a bobble, any kind of a loose action, everybody goes to their man and you try to outman the puck, even though you're short, and try to create that turnover and get it down the ice. And it's a much more aggressive penalty kill that he has done in the past pretty consistently and had fair success with it. It's not a world beater or anything like that. He's not like he's a guru or anything, but I do think that he's going to be doing that. And with our skill set and the guys that do kill penalties, I think it could end up being a positive thing where you overwhelm their power play, make them scramble, make them make bad mistakes, take away their time and space. All great and everything. I mean, the the rip on that is that, you know, you can start running around getting out of position. Guys aren't going when they should. Guys are going when they shouldn't. Guys are out of position and you get picked apart, leave your spot open, and it's in the back of your net. So I don't know. The power play has got bigger problems. I'm not sure if he's going to run that or not. There's some question marks, but the powers that be think this guy's the guy for the job. They're bringing him in. Obviously, he's on the same page as the other guys, and you got to think that's their number one priority right now is getting people in that are like-minded with the same idea of where this team needs to go.
I'm curious what you think about filling a bench with guys who all played in the league. I mean, Berube played a long time. He played for the Maple Leafs. Lane Lambert spent some time in the NHL here. We see a lot of former players now transitioning into assistant roles, getting jobs behind the bench, getting those opportunities. I don't necessarily think it makes you more qualified as a coach necessarily, strategy-wise, X's and O's. I don't think it necessarily puts you over the top that way, but do you think it has a difference on maybe a couple of things and culture, response in the room, the way guys buy into the message that you're sending? Like, do you think that there's a difference with having a guy like that who's spent time, they've played, then they've transitioned into the coaching role versus a guy who maybe just found his way up from universities, junior hockey, OHL, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, there's schools of thought. Obviously, experience, mindset, what your MO is, what your message is everything, right? And if you get that from your experience as a player, that's great. If you don't, that's not the end of the world either. I'd be like Scotty Bowman, you can look at wasn't the greatest player in the world, but he's the greatest coach in the world. Why wasn't Wayne Gretzky the greatest coach in the world? Because they're not necessarily go hand in hand. And you know, the guy on the show the other day that was ripping me, Farmer Dickhead or whatever his name was, he's like, how dare you say anything? You weren't a good player, so you can't say anything about Mitch Marner. It's like, well, then who can? Only an all-star in the NHL? Like, You take your
Yeah.
experience on what you have, that you have gathered information over your life, you have experience. What does that bring you? What conclusion does that bring you to? And, Lane Lambert has experience as a coach, as a player. Like, those are all positive things for sure. And I mean, if you get someone in there who's played midget B and he's telling all these guys what to do, you could say, yeah, it's hard to, give that guy the benefit of the doubt, but it's not necessarily, you don't have to be the best player with 1,000 games in the NHL to have an opinion, to be a good coach, to have a good message, to know what it looks like. Sometimes guys are better looking from behind the glass of what's going on and analyzing it than they were when they were on the ice. That's totally fine too. So it's not imperative that you have to have a ton of NHL player experience, but if a guy does, that's a positive. It certainly doesn't hurt.
I have some clarification here on the whole associate versus assistant situation. The associate coaches are normally one step above a normal assistant coach and one step below a head coach.
Oh, so the
I,
associate's a little bit sexier, is it? Okay. All right. We just called them
I
all
think
assistants as far as I could tell, but weird.
that's the only way that I looked at it. I think it gives off a little bit of like The Office, Dwight Schrute, Michael Scott, assistant to the regional manager vibes, but associate coach nonetheless. Lane Lambert hired here in Toronto as Craig Berube continues to build out his bench.
Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.